Hello, welcome to another lesson. My name is Kenneth Acha. Today I'm going to be talking with you about how to recruit board members. Let's get right into it. Now we're going to go over an overview of what we'll cover in this class. Basically, I'll want you to know your needs. If you're going to recruit good board members, you're going to know your needs. You'll also recruit to meet your needs by using a detailed job description for board members. You have to make a job description for board members. Then we'll go and talk about the fact that you have to prepare the board to meet your needs by educating prospects and new board members. And finally, we'll talk about the fact that you need to ensure that you get members who will meet your needs by avoiding the 10 common mistakes that people make when they're trying to recruit board members. Let's look at the first one. Know your needs. Now, the needs of your organization are going to be different. There are no two organizations that are exactly the same. So you're going to have to do your own work of examining your organization and evaluating the organization's needs to make sure that you identify the exact needs that your organization has. After identifying those needs, then you're going to move forward with recruiting that is focused on finding people with skills and experiences or expertise that meets those organizational needs you have identified in your organization. This will take knowing your organization. It will take knowing where your organization is coming from, knowing your organization's current environment, the current circumstances, and knowing the opportunities that are there that your organization is identifying, and knowing the threats that are there facing your organization. It will take knowing your organization's strengths and weaknesses to be able to do this. Now, after you've done this, you should consider that there are some skills that are common to all boards. Now, we're going to go over these skills right now so that you could have them as something to make sure that you use to check. Now, no board is going to have all of them to the same level, so you're going to basically check and look at your goals and see which of these needs that I'm going to share with you now really are crucial to you, and which you already have, which you need to actually go out and look for those capabilities. So you need to look at needs that have to do with product or program development, also marketing and public relations, financial planning and management. We talked about the fact that Ernesto Siroli's work and other research has shown that these three are the pillars that you are required, but there are many others. You need to be able to have a product maker, you need to be able to have a marketer, and you need to be able to have a money manager, okay? And then you also need to have skills in fundraising and grant writing. Nonprofits are going to need money. Money is what gets the job of a nonprofit done in most cases. Even if your nonprofit doesn't rely a lot on money to do its work, you still will need money at some point. And so having these skills on your board, skills in fundraising and grant writing, will be very helpful. Human resources is another need that you need to consider. It's going to be important because as a board of directors, you have certain responsibilities, and they include managing and evaluating the resources of the organization. And the first resource is human resources. You have people that have to be managed and supervised, and having skills in human resources on your board will be very helpful. Also, we want people who are good at monitoring and evaluating, because that's important part of actually steering the organization. And we also want people who have skills in information technology. You're going to have to do web design, database management, and other technological skills will be needed to be able to actually get the work of an organization done. If you're a new organization, you're going to be thinking about designing a website, managing mailing lists and campaigns, and entering donations and things like that. You need people who have these kinds of skills on your board that can guide you to be able to actually get an organization working that can get things done to accomplish its mission. Okay, let's continue. Then for number 8, you also need people that are good in media relations. Okay, yes, media relations. You want to be able to get your organization covered in newspapers, radio, TV, and other media channels. And you will benefit from people on your board that are gifted or have skills, training, or are working in the media industry, or have a job like a journalist or a TV anchor or something like that, or radio host, or so has some connections that could get word out for you, which will get the public to know about what you're doing, and then they'll be able to support and things like that. You also want people who are good with graphic design. That comes in very handy because as a nonprofit, you're going to be needing logo design, you're going to be needing brochures, graphics for your website, social networks, and things like that. Having somebody with those skills on your board, especially when you're starting and you don't have any money, is very helpful. But when you start growing, you'd either have a staff on board that does that, or you can use other ways to be able to do that. There are resources out there, websites that can easily get this done, but having somebody on the board that could do this is very good. Then the 10th one is that somebody with organizational strategy and planning is going to be helpful. Any nonprofit that has a person like this is going to be really helpful to them, because the board of directors is a strategy creating body. It helps to develop the strategic goals of the organization, to create a strategy that will allow the organization to win, and then it evaluates and implements that strategy. And so it's important to have people with that experience. Another thing that is often overlooked, but which is also important, is having people who have personal experience with the problem that your nonprofit is trying to alleviate. For example, if your nonprofit is trying to help orphans, having somebody who grew up as an orphan on the board of directors is very important. If your organization is trying to take care of people with HIV/AIDS, having somebody who has HIV/AIDS or has gone through some of the problems, there's no cure for HIV/AIDS, but somebody who maybe understands a lot, has a family member who has suffered from it, and so they're connected that way. Somebody with very close experience with it will be very, very helpful. So the first thing you need to do is you need to know your needs. The second thing we say you need to do is that you need to recruit to meet your needs by using a detailed job description for your board members. It's all about meeting your needs. Recruitment for board members is always supposed to be mission driven, supposed to be need driven, the need of your organization. And where do those needs come from? The needs come from your mission and the goals. When you set the mission and the goals, then you start looking and seeing, okay, what capabilities do we need to be able to attain these goals? What systems and structures need to be in place to be able to help us achieve these goals? And then when you start looking at those things in detail, you start seeing that, oh, there is a need here, there's a need here, there's a need there. We are good here, we're not good there. And then we want people to be able to give us clarity in this area and clarity in that area. That helps you be able to come up with these needs. And then the second stage, again, is that you start recruiting to meet your needs by using a detailed job description. So after identifying the organization's needs, again, we must now make sure that our recruiters understand and are able to articulate accurately the responsibilities of board members. And this is so crucial. You don't want to have a person out there who's trying to recruit board members who does not know what the board is supposed to be doing. That will be a terrible thing to try to do. You want a board that is going to do the work that you need done to accomplish your mission. So the person who's at the gate trying to recruit people and put into the board needs to know exactly what the board members are supposed to be doing. That's so important. It helps in two ways. The first way that it helps is that it helps in selecting the right board members. If you know exactly what board members are expected to do, then it will help you to be able to recruit and select members who have the skills and the expertise that the organization needs. That's important. The second reason is that it helps you to be able to set the right expectations early on. That's also important. Setting the right expectations early on will be important to you. When you know the board members' responsibilities, it'll help you to set the right expectations. It'll help you to set the right expectations. The third thing that we're going to be looking at is we're going to be looking at the fact that you have to prepare the board members to meet your needs by educating prospects and new board members. Okay, we already introduced that when we went over the overviews. That the third thing is to prepare the board to meet your needs by educating prospects and new board members. This is so important. The onboarding process of your new board members is supposed to be something that is done with great diligence, because the more prepared they are, the more they will be ready to actually tackle the issues that you need tackled to be able to take your organization to the next level. If you have unprepared board members, even if those have skills that are needed, if they're not prepared to be able to take care of your organizational needs well, you may have people, but you underutilize their potential. You don't want to have that happen to you. So training your board members is going to be important. And now, basically, how do you go about preparing your board members? Well, one thing you need to do is that you need to help prospects know everything they need to know about your organization. You want to help them know everything so that they can make a good informed decision. Okay, even before they're in, you help them know everything they need to know so that they can make a decision and say, yes, I want to be part of your board, or no, I'm not ready yet. You also want to give new board members the board manual. And there's going to be another lesson where we'll talk about the contents of the board manual in detail and how you should put it together. And the third thing is that you need to assign new board members to mentors who are experienced board members so that they can help them. For a period of 3 to 6 months, a mentor could help them. Something that we do at Shaping Destiny is that we have new board members come in for the first year, which would be several board meetings, maybe 5 to 10 board meetings or something like that. They come in, they're not acting as board members, they're learning and being mentored by someone and just learning. They're not voting on anything. And then after that, their term actually begins, so that we have people who get to understand the organization well, in addition to any orientation and things like that. Then the fourth thing that is important to do is that we want you to be able to provide orientation for new board members. And this orientation is going to basically done by giving them the board manual and then going over many of the contents that are in the board manual and setting expectations that way. Orientation, you will usually go over things like mission, vision, and goals. You would cover the history of the organization. For example, you're going to talk about the financial situation of the organization, the assessment, financial assessment, and the overview. You'll talk about your current and planned programs. You will need to mention things like responsibilities of board members again, so that they know exactly what their job description is. You want to talk to them about the responsibility of the executive director, if you have an executive director, or a president and CEO, if you have a president and CEO, and of the staff members. You also need to talk to them about committees that are available and basically help them be able to feel like they are ready. They know enough to be able to jump in and start doing something for your organization. That's so key. Well, the fourth and final thing, which is a big one that you need to do, is that you need to ensure that you get the right people who will meet your needs by avoiding the 10 common mistakes people make in recruiting board members. This is so important. You want to take steps that make sure that you get the right people that are a good match for your organization's needs, and you do that by basically avoiding these 10 common mistakes that we're going to cover. Let's get into the mistakes. The first mistake is that you need to avoid downplaying a board member's duties to recruit a busy prospect. If you like someone and they're busy, you really think, wow, this person would be good as my board member, and the person is talking to you about them being busy. Well, then don't go saying, oh no, it's not really much. It doesn't take it doesn't take much time to be on my board. No, you need to make sure that you set very clear expectations. If you do that and start downplaying the board members' responsibilities just because you want to get them to join your board, you're going to know that, you're going to see that it will come back to haunt you. Important, set clear expectations early on. Let them know that your board is in a position where to be able to serve your organization well, you need committed members that are active and fully engaged, who attend meetings and are able to fully give themselves to the fulfillment of the mission of the organization. If they can't commit, well, then they are not the right person at that time. Maybe in the future when their plate is a little, not as crowded, they don't have so much stuff on their plate, then they'll be able to help a little bit more. But for now, you want people that can commit. It's better to have few committed people than many people who have no commitment, okay? The second thing that you need to avoid is you need to avoid embellishing board member roles and responsibilities. You want to make it cooler than it is, and you make people feel like they're coming for something that is so much bigger, and then they come and see that your organization is not that great yet. And basically what they were expecting when they come in, it's not what they see. This will make them disgruntled and dissatisfied, and many of them will quit, or they would basically change the morale of your board, and you will not be able to get much done if you do this. The third thing is that you basically need to be able to make sure that you set the right expectations. So a mistake that you need to avoid is not setting the right expectations, not setting clear expectations. It's related to the first two. In the first one, a board member is saying, okay, I can't do it. In the first one, downplaying a board member's duties to recruit a busy prospect is, the board member basically tells you after you go and say, hey, Mr. Joe, I've been thinking about you, about my organization, and I really think that you would make a good board member. I would love to talk to you about my organization. And then you basically say, and then he says, I'm sorry, but I don't have the time to be able to serve on the board right now. I'm very busy. And then you really want him, and then you go out and you're saying, oh no, it's not going to take very much and all that. That's downplaying. It's sort of like not setting the right expectations, but it's one aspect. Then embellishing is the other aspect, but there are many other areas of not setting the right expectations by basically putting the whole thing out and telling them without downplaying or embellishing is what I'm referring to in this third point. You need to make sure you set the right expectations, and you do that in detail and make sure that they understand fully where they're going. The fourth mistake that I want you to avoid is you need to avoid forgetting that everything that glitters is not gold, and so recruiting people just for their name. Okay, this is an important one. Don't invite high-profile board members based solely on his or her name. All board members need to have skills and experiences that your organization needs and are willing to commit and actively participate. If you do this, if you fall by this mistake and you basically do what I'm saying don't do here, you're going to suffer. You see that it'll come back to bite you also, because it's not only going to mean that you have somebody who is not functioning and doing what they're supposed to be doing. It'll get other board members to become bitter, and it might bring division. They'll resent everything because they will not want to see this big name dude who is all important, but they're not able to do what they're supposed to be doing. It's like they sit there and only feel important, and they get to be doing the work. It'll make people not happy. So you don't want that. Even though board members that are prominent, high profile, will help the organization, they will only do so if they actually can commit and get the work done. They'll have the opposite effect if they can't. Remember that they'll have the opposite effect if they can't. So something that I want you to do, okay, as part of the process of really having you do your due diligence, is to ask each board member when you are in the process, board candidate, probably was the right name word there because I'm talking about when you're still bringing them in. Ask them several questions. One of them is ask them, can you fulfill our board's fiduciary and legal oversight responsibilities? How have you already demonstrated a passion for organizations like ours? Because you want to see people who not just talk passion, but you can see proof of passion. Okay? Ask them the third question. Do you really have the time to serve on our board? Also ask them, are you able to meet the board fundraising requirements as the organization has said it, as if your organization has it, and many organizations have a situation where board members have to be involved in raising funds and stuff like that, because that's a big deal. That's an important part of the organization running, and board members are supposed to actually do that. Okay, and make sure that you not only ask these questions, but you also discern, because there are situations where people say they can do things that they really don't have time to do. So that's something that is important for you to really also be thinking about. Now, the fifth thing is that you need to avoid inviting your dream board prospect before your organization is up and running. That's an important one. There are some people that if you're building your organization, you really want them on your board. They are like your top prospects, but you don't want to invite them early before your organization actually takes off the ground, because these people are usually busy people, and because they're busy people, they don't have the time to be involved in starting something. Also, many of these people want to be able to go and help something that is already moving. They don't want to go help put their time where something is not going on. When they see that something is going on, they know, okay, my time is going to be valuable. I can help this thing become better, and they will be better to be invited later. So remember that. The sixth one is that we need to avoid the mistake of waiting until the last minute. Do we all procrastinate? Yeah, we do. But with board members, if you are keen on getting good board members, and we all should be, because boards of directors are a key to the success of our organization. Yeah. As a founder or a co-founder, you've probably put a lot into your organization, or as somebody who cares about the organization, you want people that you are going to put in stewardship responsibility over your organization, who actually know what they're going to be doing, and who actually are people that have the heart, the integrity to be able to steer the organization in the direction where you set out going. Okay, so you don't want to be able to just wait for the last minute. Another mistake is that we often try to avoid screening. So we need to avoid not screening board prospects or recommendations to ensure that they match. You need to make sure that you do it, okay? Not screening board prospects for recommendations or any board prospect to make sure that they're a good match. Interviewing them and going through and doing your due diligence is going to be a problem for you. And this is so important when you're a small organization, you are looking for good board members and you really don't have any, and you meet somebody who is either sent to you or you yourself get connected to them, and then this person looks really important. It looks like this is the best board member you've had, and you just want to skip through any interviewing or getting to know them and really seeing and praying over it and making sure that you see that they're going to be a good fit, a good chemistry, compatibility with the rest of your board members, that they really have the passion and everything that are needed. If you do not do this, you are going to be opening yourself up for mistakes of bringing somebody on board that could actually cause chaos. If you've worked with people, you know what I'm saying. Like, there are some people that you hire or bring on board into your organization, and they become a toxic influence on everybody else. I have seen this, and talk to any leader and they will tell you that you have to exercise care in bringing new people in if you want success. The eighth one is not checking for conflict of interest in potential board members. You need to do that so that you bring board members that have the interests of the organization fully at heart at all points, who do not have any conflicting interests of their own. The ninth point is selling yourself short. Avoid selling yourself short. That's a mistake that you need to avoid. Many of us, when we start our organizations, some of us are not people that anyone knows. We're not a big shot by any stretch of the imagination. And So we start thinking that, well, we can't go recruit really good board members because, I mean, who knows us? That's a bad way to start thinking. Remember that your focus should be God, who has called you, and the cause that you are serving, which is greater than any of the people that will be serving there. So you are calling them to come and serve God. You're calling them to come and serve the cause. And the third thing, if you're a young man, I encourage you, you should be building a board that will become like mentors, fathers, mothers, people who help teach you and guide you and take you in the direction where you should go. So you should not be looking for a board that you can control, a board that you feel like, oh, you're more important than, or you can deal with your peers. You feel like you have some leverage because they're your peers. Look for the best board that is greater than you by far, and humble yourself and pray to God that these people are the right people. Just make sure they're the right people. Okay, just make sure they're the people who have the integrity, they're spiritually mature if you care about spiritual things, and that you really select the right people, even if they're like Billy Graham and Rick Warren, and if they say yes to you, if you have their contact and they were to say yes to you, and you felt like they had the skills, not just because they have a big name. That would be a mistake. We already talked about that being one of the mistakes, thinking that everything that glitters is gold. It may be gold somewhere else, but not in your organization, okay? Because you want something that will be gold in your organization. Now, so don't sell yourself short. Shoot for the best board members that you can find to meet that will meet the role that you are looking for. Look at the role. Look at God. Look at the cause. Then see who better fit the cause. Who better fit the role here that I want to be able to fill, so that the mission is accomplished and the work that the cause is standing for gets accomplished. Then go out and look for people like that, not looking at yourself, but actually trusting God and looking for the right people. Remember this: when you recruit people for your board, be thinking and looking for people today to be on your board that have the weight, the resourcefulness, the talent, the skill, the experience to be able to match the organization you want to create 5 years from today, 10 years from today. If you want, for example, an organization that is worldwide, you know that those kinds of organizations are led by huge top dogs, people of the caliber of Secretary of States and things like that. Then you should start looking for those people, because your organization, if you want to be international, you're going to face problems with international relations and things like that. You want people who are top, who are able to help you navigate those territories to be on board. And yes, even if you're doing work for Christ, even if you're doing work for God, God is a God who gives wisdom, and He uses men to accomplish work. Okay? He uses men to accomplish work. Don't just be waiting for a miracle. All of a sudden, the board has no skill, very little, and then you just expect windows to open. They don't usually do that. When God wants to get a job done, He raises a competent man to do it. That's how it works. He raises a competent man to do it. And don't sell yourself short. The number 10 and final one is not playing by the rules. You need to play by the rules. Follow your bylaws and your articles of incorporation, and so establish a standard for everyone to follow, that all things that you do have to be by the book. They have to be, so that when you can have an organization that people could trust, because you actually do what you promise that you're going to be doing, because your bylaws and your articles of incorporation state out what you clearly say you are going to be doing. Well, we've talked about how to recruit board members. I've said before, the board is the greatest part of your organization. Where the board goes, your organization will go. If the board is strong, your organization will be strong. If the board is weak, your organization will be weak. If the board is spiritually mature, your organization will be spiritually mature. Your organization and you as a founder and or co-founder cannot rise above the quality of your board. You want a board that can support you, that can provide in terms of wisdom and experience and knowledge things that you haven't even come close, so that you become a student. They are the ones leading the organization and grooming and equipping you at the same time, and you are growing with them. Trust that God who called you is able to keep you. God who called you is able to keep you. So do not allow the temptation to select board members you can control, board members who cannot question your wisdom about certain things or challenge you or even threaten to fire you. Don't fear that when you select these right people, they will be able to do that to you or you'll lose control. Put your control in the hands of God, and you will see that God will raise you up and raise board members who come to support you. The good thing about boards is that boards are there to support you to be able to do what the mission of the organization is. If you are offering your best and you are humble and teachable, it's nearly impossible for you to be at risk with your board. I mean, even if they were to have you serve in a lower capacity in your organization, but they are taking it the right place. But that's even rare. If you are the kind of person who is teachable, learning, you could have people of high profile on your organization as long as you're willing to honor them, say yes sir to them if they have more experience and wisdom and expertise, and if they know more than you, basically, you honor them. They will serve for the length of time because they know they're not serving you. As long as they can trust that they're not going to come and waste their time and put into the hands of someone who's going to usurp. If they know you are the person you're young, inexperienced, but you are wise, you are humble, you have your eyes set on the right goal, you are selecting the right people, and you are not in it for yourself, but you're in it for the cause. They will love you. They will open doors for you, actually. So remember, your board is the most important part of your organization. Put the greatest effort there to select a board that can sustain and feed and nourish all the other organization.